Boom, we are live. March 23rd. Market slash coronavirus whatever update. We have a order of events for the show. Do you want to start running through the numbers? We're going to go through the numbers at the beginning of each show.
Yep. So real quickly, U.S. cases, 41,300 active cases, 512 total deaths. Global cases, 256,000 active and 16,328 dead. For economics, the Dow, which closed, or the market just closed about half an hour ago, 45 minutes ago. Dow closed down 582 points, which was a 3% reduction. S&P was down 67, it's a 2.93, roughly the same closing reduction. And NASDAQ was only down 0.27, so it closed about where it opened. And gold is at 1560, which is up 76 and 5%. Oil took a 5% hike today, closing at 23.83. And Bitcoin is up 7%. And Ethereum's up about 6%.
Can we mention the dollar index?
Oh, yeah.
It's at 102.45. So it didn't go anywhere. It was flat for the day. Very high, at a very high number. Okay, yep, keep rolling.
And so our main topics are the announcement of QE Infinity and more injection into the market. And then last night, that QE Infinity was announced early this morning before markets opened. And last night, it was announced that the Congress did not reach a deal on the response bill. So the no deal was expected to bring the market down, and the QE was expected to bring the market up. And overall, it kind of hovered around where it started, but it closed a bit down.
Mm-hmm. Yep, QE Infinity did not work.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And aren't they talking about, are the negative rates like impending?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There's the Dow is on pace. We talked about this a little bit amongst ourselves. On pace to be the worst month in recorded history for the Dow, going back to 1931. We all know what they called that. Great Depression. And the head of the IMF said they expect this recession to be much worse than 2008 globally. And the IMF, or was it the ECB? No, it's IMF. They have so many trillions of dollars available, and it's open. They're open to using all of it if they need to.
Mm-hmm.
As Corey said, QE Infinity and beyond.
Which I think everyone expected a much better response from the market. And the fact that the market closed down and gold and crypto closed up is kind of indicating that people are losing faith in the ability for the Fed to maintain control of the economy, let alone the stock market.
Now, with the dollar index staying kind of flat, guys, do you think, along with what you just said, Corey, do you think also people are losing faith in the dollar with gold going up and cryptos going up now?
Right. If the dollar is holding its index position but losing to safe haven current or assets like gold and crypto, that means that the dollar is actually starting to go down.
Mm-hmm. Except compared to other currencies where it's still doing well.
Right. But all the other currencies are in the same boat, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's killing the other currencies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I still haven't gotten any official reports of this, but I've been hearing that it's getting more difficult to pull money out of banks. And I still have a few transfers which I placed last week that are the funds are not available in the exchanges that I moved the money to, and it's just sitting in my Wells Fargo as a pending transfer.
Mm-hmm.
More on that later.
More on that later. Yeah, that's like an unofficial story. There have been a bunch of people talking about that.
Yeah.
About transfers just not happening and things like that. So we'll see.
Didn't you say who was it that said something? They read something about whatever agency pleading not to run down to the bank and pull your cash out. Was that last night? I don't remember now. But
yeah,
like that's always really good to do.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't pull your money out. Why is that?
Mm-hmm. We had talked about moving into silver for today, and a couple of us made some little moves that way. Silver and gold were both kind of up the same amount. Silver a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm still stuck. My trades from last week are clearing with the T+3 transaction plus 3 days closeout thing. So
okay,
well,
yeah, I just sold some of my gold and bought some silver, so it was a fast trade.
Oh, okay. Which exchange do you use?
It's through my bank, like my retirement portfolio through my bank.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think you had the pick of the day last Saturday, David, because the EFTs were available, obviously, but also the cheapest as far as picking up silver. Because for one, physical, you're not going to find it. Good luck. You're going to look and look. Everyone's sold out, and the spot price, they're charging over spot up to $7 per ounce because it's so scarce, where you don't get that with the EFTs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I saw EFTs at 11 something early this morning, where anything, they're sold out, but if you were going to be able to get it, it would have been $19 to $20 an ounce.
Yeah, and we were talking about why that is. The non-conspiracy reason we were trying to get you on the call last time, and that was that industrial users of silver are selling it back into the market, but it takes time for their ingots to make it to the place where they can be coined. So there's a delay between when they get that back and when it goes into coins, and so that's why the coin and spot price are so different right now.
Yeah, people are selling it to get cash.
Yep.
And now they're saying, oh, well, like we were talking about the other night, they might find out the cash in their pockets worth less than the toilet paper that they can't get at Costco pretty soon.
Right.
And certainly not as absorbent.
Definitely not. Definitely not. And I think the exchange rate with poopy dollars goes down even more.
Yeah, poopy dollars are worth a little bit less than $1.
A little bit less. We talked a little bit and if I'm going off the rocker, reel me back in, but something along the lines of the Congress not passing that bill, the relief bill, and the Fed going QE infinity. We've heard a little bit of talk from possible reliable source, third hand, but possibly reliable, that they might do a nationwide shutdown in the United States. Basically, the Stafford Act put into effect. Just to play around with it, could one reason why they might want to do that now, because over the weekend and last night especially, Trump and his minions on Fox started pushing the agenda of, are we going too far at the detriment of the economy? Are we doing worse? Are we making things worse for Americans by locking them down because of the economy, or is it worth it because of the virus? Mm-hmm. So Fox News was pushing that all day and all night yesterday. It was pretty interesting. Where CNN and the other side, they were saying lock it down, lock it down, lock it down. So maybe a compromise is you lock it down and also shut down the markets, at least the open exchanges, even from internet doing and all that. I mean, could that be a possibility that they just shut everything down? Because, you know, we saw the stock market last week close for a brief time because the trading was dropping so quickly. So could that be a possibility? Plus, giving them more excuses to go infinite in, you know, QE infinity by really shutting us down.
Yeah, I think that the floors are closed and everybody's remote, which was being discussed last week, but it's not. There was no provision to allow traders to do their floor jobs remotely. But I think as of today that the floors are not staffed. So.
Right.
How long do you think that shutdown lasts?
They're saying 14 to 21 days, up to 6 weeks.
Right.
And do you know which market is not going to shut down? Crypto market. Cryptos trade 24/7. And actually, I don't think they can be shut down. I don't think that happens. So.
It's not like the exchange is open. It's just an intrinsic exchange.
Yep. That's a good way to put it.
Might need to have a little over in the comment section. I wonder, Dave, if you could put up some different wallets and stuff that people can get to do purchases.
Oh yeah, for people.
I seriously think a lot of people we know personally know how to do cryptocurrencies. I think probably a lot of our listeners don't have a clue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I heard rumor about an IPO for Patriots Lament coin. So.
Dang. The logos I could put on that bad boy. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll put a couple exchanges up. Coinbase is kind of the one that everybody in the States uses. Okay. I actually use Binance. I mean, that's the exchange that I trade on. But you can't really, it's hard to get money onto Binance. Coinbase is an easy way to get money into an exchange. And then you can move your tokens anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, so here's something I was thinking about today was, say I am awesome at trading on the market and my gold ETFs and silver ETFs do well, but the banks are closed. How do I get my money back out of the exchange without it hitting a bank and possibly getting stuck there?
Mm-hmm.
Not sure.
Not sure, right. So, I mean, that's the game you play with crypto as well. You have the entry and exit points. The cool thing with crypto is you can actually just buy stuff with it to some extent.
Yeah.
Like it's getting to the point where you can just buy stuff with your Ether or with your Bitcoin.
Yeah, on your cell phone.
Yep.
Yeah, whereas you can't, like, I don't know of a mechanism where I could, I think I saw in my exchange I can transfer stocks out of my account to another account, but good luck getting somebody to buy that.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah.
I don't.
So you can't swap into a crypto?
Not directly, I don't think. I'm not aware of an exchange that. I think all the ways that you trade crypto on a stock exchange is that they're crypto indexes, kind of like an ETF.
Oh,
yeah.
It's not. You don't actually get the private key to the money in your account. So.
Yeah, you never own the blocks.
Yeah.
Sounds like we need you to invent a Corey exchange index.
Some people have been trying to do that sort of stuff. One of the weird things about it is it's where you hit the crossover point between regulated and unregulated markets. That's the tricky part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't think that I don't know if banks are going to shut down and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't think it's going to get to that. The road is being paved for that direction, but I don't think that will happen.
Mhm.
Like, there's a point at which if the system breaks down too far, it can't exert any control. And so a lot of what's going on right now might be, it might be the people in charge trying to keep it glued together, and the system's coming apart. The system's coming apart on its own, and they're actually trying to keep it glued together, which is, I think, in most people's best interest. The system
long term.
long term, yeah. And even in our best interest, we're all part of the system. We all have houses and jobs and stuff like that. And so the longer it takes, flatten the curve, right?
Mhm.
The longer it takes the system to unwind or collapse or whatever, that's a good thing, I think.
Right, because any large movement is going to overshoot. So if you slow down the rate at which things fall apart, it's not going to overshoot as far. So
That's a good way to put it. Let's jump in these other topics you got on the list here.
yeah, should we start at the top?
Yeah, so we got our COVID news. We talked about government response. We talked about economic impact. Yep.
So one of the talks that we had last time is about the different narratives of is this real? Is the virus real? We know that the economic side is real because we can measure that, but there's still a lot of disagreement about how severe the virus is. Can the numbers be trusted, and at what point is it a real health emergency and not something that's being overhyped by the media? Now, I think that it's pretty likely it can be a real health emergency and still be overhyped by the media, and the government over responds to it, which is kind of like the worst of all of those. You get the most extreme response out of every part of the system.
Mm-hmm.
So last week after the show, when I was doing a little bit of show prep, I put together a little paragraph, and I compared it to COVID-19 deaths to auto deaths. And so Italy's auto fatalities are about 3,300 last year, which works out to 9.1 per day. And the COVID deaths surpassed that number on the 1st of March when they hit 12 deaths per day, and has been above that number since. And that was 22 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so for Italy, this has been much more severe than one of the typical leading deaths in a country. On March 30th, oh sorry, we already did that. So for the U.S., auto fatality rate is about 40,000 per year, which is 110 per day, 109, 110. So I predicted by March 23rd or 24th, the U.S. would be at the same rate of daily COVID-19 deaths. And there was a little bit of a lag over the weekend, Friday and Saturday. U.S. daily deaths were down, but they popped up a bunch on Sunday. So there was 117 deaths, which exceeded the 110 automotive deaths for that day, and that was yesterday. So we're already to the point where COVID-19 is daily more deadly than driving. And that's not to say that it will stay that way for the rest of the year and exceed total automotive deaths for 2020. But it's just a comparison of perspective on total death rates.
we're kind of. Whoops. What's that? Am I echoing because of something I did?
No, you're good.
We're kind of past the point even of trying to figure out, well, is the coronavirus real? Is it really deadly or blah? It doesn't matter anymore, really. The effects that it's having on the economy, the actions that the government's doing, all those things, they're happening anyways. So I think it's
Well, there is an
futile.
argument. There is an argument that the economy was not in good shape and it was falling anyways, and this is kind of a cover for why the economy is going. And because of it, they're able to do all this extreme stuff.
Yep.
So in that case, there's an incentive to hype the story and push a bunch of crazy economic stuff that has been on the table, but there's been no good way to do it. So that's where you could still get over response from the government.
Right. The response is happening. So.
Right. Right. Yeah, and reports. There's more and more reports from doctors who, there's doctors in Italy, doctors in New York, doctors in Washington, where they're pretty. There was one in Spain. I remember where the guy was pretty upset. Like he was crying on camera a little bit, and he was like, "We're just overwhelmed, and people can't." The doctors and nurses are having a hard time psychologically dealing with this because we're having to make, I think what he called like really hard decisions, which means triage like decisions. So.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I don't think we ever see. Certainly not globally, but even maybe in like a natural disaster. I don't know if there was that kind of stuff going on in Katrina, but a lot of that was people were sick right afterwards because there was no good water and stuff like that, or they had drowned. And so it was kind of over, but it wasn't this long, lingering, ongoing, fairly deadly for the people who have serious cases type of event.
Well, we talked about this morning, our local hospital that we heard back from, a nurse that works there said they're out of IV bags, they're out of masks, they're out of gloves, and people are just freaking out, demanding to be tested just because they have a runny nose or whatever. And the doctors and nurses are having to be tested twice a day. So they're actually posting, and people are stealing supplies. They're coming in, stealing and running. So they're posting security at all the entrances at the hospital right here.
Wow. So that's Fairbanks Hospital already low on supplies then.
Yeah, she said some of the things were out. They're completely out of things. Said people were very belligerent, demanding that they get tested.
How's the level? What's the level of test kits in Alaska? Do you know anything about that?
I don't. I almost thought it was odd that they would test the people working there twice a day, because if we have we have such a finite amount of tests. That's a lot of tests just going to the employees there. I mean, not that we don't want them to be safe, but still.
Well, what we've been hearing from other hospitals is that they've partitioned parts of the hospital, so they have coronavirus wards, and even when the staff are sick and have tested positive, they keep working because everybody else in there already is sick. So if they have a somewhat mild case and they're sick but they're still able to work, they stay on the job. So.
Alaska specific, Elmendorf went from 1 case to 10 overnight or one day, so they're shutting down Elmendorf Air Force Base.
Jaber.
Yep.
Yep, I saw that.
I imagine Wainwright's not far behind.
Yeah, it looks like you're still out and about, so don't get caught out.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of feeding into the frenzy, but of course I told all my family members and said, hey, this could happen. If there's anything you're missing now, you better go get it. And who knows how many, same thing the rest of the town's saying.
Yep. Looking like we certainly know that the response is pretty real. So.
Yep. Real enough.
Absolutely.
The government is acting as if it is real.
We had one other thing to throw out for this episode, and we'll be back probably tomorrow or the next day with another episode. We were talking about 5G, and there's a bunch of people talking about 5G and coronavirus, and who knows? Who knows if that's a thing or not? But I've actually had 2 friends now send me stuff about that, so I looked into it. I'm going to post some links in the YouTube for people to look at. The first link is just a DuckDuckGo search for 5G and oxygen absorption. And it turns out that the 60 gigahertz 5G signals, they mess with oxygen pretty substantially. And so that would affect if you were having respiratory issues, or it could cause respiratory issues, but it would certainly affect your body's ability to absorb oxygen. Then there are these 3 somewhat interesting articles. Wuhan was like the #1 biggest 5G test city in China. And I'm just going to post all these links up. If you read the little Wuhan article, they talk about, it's very short. They say 5G network coming to Wuhan. A large-scale 5G network engineering program will be piloted in Wuhan to accelerate the deployment of this technology and to hopefully upgrade the IT industry, blah, blah, blah. Now that Wuhan, as a pilot city to build 5G telecoms, has been approved by the central government, 3,000 macro base stations and 2,700 micro base stations will soon be constructed. By the end of 2018, the trial use of technology will start. It is expected to be accessible to users at the Military World Games in 2019. By 2020, 5G network will cover every corner of the city and be available at an affordable price. So there are very few cities that have full 5G coverage. Wuhan is one of them. So then another article I threw up in the chat there, Iran ready to take a step towards 5G technology. Again, very short article. And it ends with global predictions show that 5G rollout will roll out in 2020 and hit mainstream by 2022. So the Iranian minister guy saying, in 3 months, we'll provided the conditions for experts in the field to learn all there is about 5G, and by 2020, we will have begun executing our action plan, basically deploying it. And then, of course, a lot of countries say this, but I kind of handpicked these 3. So the last one is about Italy. And Italy is apparently further along in its 5G deployment than everywhere else. So this is an article from 2017, just talking about Italy basically trying to roll out as fast as possible to be ahead of the rest of the EU on their 5G rollout. So anyway, that's something I've started to dig into. There's one frequency specifically, which is the 60 gigahertz band that messes with oxygen a lot. Like oxygen absorbs like 98% of energy at 60 gigahertz. So anyway.
Can we jump into that for a second? So
Sure.
Is that similar to H2O absorption at 2.4.
Yep, at
gigahertz.
2.4
So-
gigahertz. It's a resonant frequency.
So when you put when you put your food in the microwave and it gets hit with 2.4 gigahertz, all the water molecules resonate. So they actually start to spin back and forth very rapidly, and that kinetic energy imparted to the food is what causes your stuff to heat up. And so using that same model, it would appear that at 60 gigahertz, like a microwave, it's like a microwave, but it responds to oxygen. So you get all your oxygen molecules doing that same kind of high-speed oscillation, which causes lots of kinetic energy and potentially heat to form.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and within the whole spectrum of 5G, that's a really wide range of, of frequencies, right? There's a lot inside of 5G.
There's a lot of frequencies in 5G, and so what we're looking into is what frequencies are used at what parts of the world. 60 gig in the United States and stuff is used for VR goggles.
No.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's used for the cell bands in a few other
part
countries.
of the VR experience. You get a little lightheaded.
Yeah, exactly, from oxygen deprivation. Yep.
And then based on this, we could make some rough predictions about where we would expect to see more cases if this mechanism proves to be proves to hold water. So urban areas more than rural areas, cities that are further along in their 5G rollout, and it wouldn't necessarily be a binary where it's like you get a bunch of cases here and no cases over here. It's just that you would see things would bias towards an increase in cases in areas that have higher exposure to those frequencies.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right. That's right. So we'll see, but it's something. It's something we're scratching at.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's it for our agenda. There's a little housekeeping stuff. David and I have been doing some testing, and we're working on getting a call-in number and patching in callers into these little daily or multi-weekly shows that we'll have going on. That's one thing that we've identified as really miss is having you guys on the show and hearing your thoughts. So, working on it.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Probably for the next one.
Yep.
That's exciting. Another note, ammo for you folks out there that like ammunition for your guns. Good luck. It's about as scarce as gold and silver right now.
Is there a spot ETF fund for ammunition that we can invest in?
There really should be. Do you imagine the money you would have made over the Obama administration? God. True story, though.
Yep, it's gone. Cool.
Yeah, I
Just
guess
like-
if anything, what do you guys think, just to let our watchers, listeners know? We'll probably have one in the next couple of days, another one of these, but if something major happens, like could happen on Wednesday, we'll definitely be on to let you guys know what we know, at least, and hopefully hear from you guys what, listeners, what you know also. Information's king right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of good comments in the live chat, so thanks for that.
Yeah, for sure. Right.
Great.
Cool. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.